Today we're going to continue with a little more of that walking bass line. This will be a little more advanced lesson. I'm going to play rhythm changes today in the key of C. Now, normally it's in B flat, but it just feels good and it kind of makes me play different things if I move it to a new key. So if you don't know rhythm changes, you need to go learn it. As a matter of fact, you've got to work on the fundamentals if you're going to reach the higher level of playing. You've got to work on the roots, the thirds, the fifths, the sevens, the half steps, and of course you need to know the chord changes like just the back of your hand. No reading them out of a book. You've got to have it in your ears and your hands. I'm just going to play a bass line here, then we'll talk about it and analyze it. And the things that I'm going to play, they're just things that my ear will call up, and they've come or they're available to me from years of practicing the fundamentals, listening to great players, and knowing rhythm changes, playing the song a lot. So let's try it. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, a 3, a 4. Now to start with, I know the roots and I can play them. That's why I recommend you start. And so on. If this were an in-person lesson, we would practice just the roots only, for 30 to 40 minutes, non-stop. Just get them inside you. So you need to just sit and work with the roots. Put your metronome ticking on 2 and 4, a little drum machine. I recommend you don't play with the play along at this point, meaning chord changes and stuff. I want you to hear exactly what you're doing and the clarity of it. And just work the roots, work the roots. As a matter of fact, let's do it through one time right now. Here we go. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, a 3, a 4. Cool. That's actually hard to do because my ear hears all these other things I want to play. Now let me give you a few, do's and don'ts or pitfalls. Good walking bass lines aren't scales. Quit trying to make everything so smooth. Play the chord changes, play the roots. Another thing is, too many people think that, I'm just going to sort of improvise. Folks, there's chord changes. We're the bass player. While we can improvise by choosing maybe the octave to play, which chord tone we play, it's not just like I play anything I want. There's no musical police. You can do that. But you want some gigs with great players, you're going to need to learn and play the sounds, the phrases that are a part of the iconic jazz language. Now let's look at a fundamental. Watch this. Root, half step, 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 root. Now some of them might played above and below, but that was nothing but roots and half steps. Let's do that again. Root, half step, root, half step, root, half step, step, root, fifth, root, fifth, root, root, third. Whoa! Now let's look at that part. A lot of what I did, and a lot of what people do, sort of a voice leading thing, and that is I'll use chord tones on the downbeat as opposed to the root. Now don't think of that as a concept though. Man, I need to play a lot more non-root down notes on the downbeat. That's not true. You play the roots and they'll just sound absolutely incredible. The only time you use some things that aren't is if you want to create a movement of a line. Check this out. Root, third, root, root, half step, root, 7, third, root, root, 7, third, root, root. Now I don't really think of those roots and sevens, but what I do is I look for notes that I want to go to others. Watch this. Ah, that just made sense. It is the root, the third, the root, the half step, the root, fifth, root, half step, third, half step, root, half step, fifth, sorry, half step, root, half step, root, half step, root. Now there's a bunch of different options, but I recommend you simply isolate them. And because there's so many chords going by in this one, there's not that many places to worry about what notes to play. Roots and half steps first, then maybe add the fifth. And when do you play the fifth? Well, when there's place. Root is first, half steps next. So if there's only 2 beats in a measure, well, you only get those 2 notes. Now, the measure that has a full 4, then you can go root, fifth, root, half step. Let me play another chorus for you and you watch it now. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, a 3. Oh. Your job is simply go through there and isolate every single pitch. Define it. Root, half step, root, half step, root, fifth, root, 7, half step, root, that kind of stuff, okay? There's no set, do this, do this, do this. No, learn the roots, learn the half step approaches, learn the thirds, the fifths, the sevenths, and work them so much that then you can make combinations. I've never really had to teach advanced walking. I've done a little bit of it, but most of the time, if you just work on the fundamentals constantly, man, your ears just take over and you just sort of start making cool little lines happen. You know that concept of theme and variation? Well, if you play the theme so much, you'll automatically just start playing little variations. Well, that's called improvisation in jazz. Gary Carr likes to do that when he's playing Baroque music. He says, let's just improvise in Baroque. He doesn't really call it improvisation in jazz, but it is. So get serious about learning those fundamentals and learn the chord changes over and over and over. You can find play-alongs that we have for these too. Fired up.